I have a new channel and I cover other gacha games. Right now, it's currently Snowbreak Containment Zone. I am looking forward to Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero whenever those two games come out, which I'll probably cover on this channel. So if you want to see me cover other games aside from Honkai Star Rail, definitely check out this channel. The link will be in the description. Anyways, let's get into the video. I'll be honest, Toshi's been lazy. That's why the upload schedule is currently sheet, like bed sheets, so YouTube doesn't demonetize my channel. With Blade to soon become a relic of the past, I think it's a good time to start talking about Kafka and what the potential of this powerhouse is. Let me explain. What makes Kafka so special is she's the first character that's going to be doing damage without doing damage. She's going to be the first character that does most of her damage from a different type of damage we currently have in the game. Well, we do have it, but no other character is utilizing the damage, which is known as damage over time. We went over this in a previous video where we took a comparison of damage over time in Honkai Star Rail and compared it to other popular games. Maybe they weren't gachas, maybe they were, but damage over time is a mechanic that has a lot of potential in the future of Honkai Star Rail, and I think Kafka is going to be that character, or rather I know Kafka is going to be that character that is going to essentially bring it to the next level. Now the thing is, Kafka is able to abuse some of the best Lycones in the game. The Nihility has a bunch of Lycones that are extremely strong. Even if you don't have some of the premium gacha copies of certain Lycones, you're still able to take advantage of the free Lycones you can get in the game, or acquire in the game rather. And those Lycones also increase the damage capabilities of your Nihility based characters. And for a character like Kafka, all of the damage boosts you can stack on the character is going to increase her dot damage greatly, which is going to be very good for the character and for the team composition she's in. So that's the thing, no matter what Lycones you have on your account, you're able to use whatever Lycone you can use, because all the Nihility Lycones are very valuable for the Nihility characters. I think this path has honestly one of the easiest requirements of building any characters of any other path, and that is the fact that the Lycones are very versatile, and the characters in this path all use debuffs, so they all benefit from the same stat line, whereas you look at a character like maybe Blade, who gets a ton of HP, and other characters like Clara, who wants to have more attack than HP. So in the last video, we went over how Kafka is essentially the most free-to-play friendly character in the game, and I still stand by that. There's so many options to use with Kafka, and even if you don't have those options to use with her in her quote-unquote best team, you still have other options you can use with the character that will work just as well. So you may have other characters that you already have built, and those characters you can actually use on your teams with Kafka. You don't have to necessarily have Luca and Sampo in the same team of Kafka. You can have one or the other. You probably want to match the element of the weakness of the enemy anyways, because you won't be using Silver Wolf most of the time with Kafka, of course, depending on the teams you have her in. And again, that's pretty much goes back to what I was saying. This character is extremely versatile, and she has many different team comps and many different ways of actually using the character. The reason why Kafka works really well with Asta is because of the speed and attack increase you give to Kafka. The attack works really well for dot-based characters in general because the attack increase helps dots do more damage, because dots primarily scale based off of the wearer's attack. Of course, there is other types of damage amplifications that go into making dots do more damage, but attack is going to be your main source of damage when it comes to damage over time. And on top of that, the speed Asta does provide to Kafka is very good, because Kafka wants to constantly attack, wants to constantly put those dots on enemy. Because if you don't have too much effect hit rate on the enemy, you're going to be relying on RNG. And the more times you can hit the enemy means the more times you will have that chance to put that down the enemy, which overall allows you to have a Kafka where you can focus on other stats primarily. Now, one of the interesting things is a character like Bronya, who you can use pretty much with everyone in the game currently. She works really well with Blade. She works really well with Seal. She works really well with Silver Wolf. She works really well with any character because she is too versatile. But she works pretty well with Kafka, I believe, and the reason being is because you're able to increase the damage of the user. And as you all know, every single damage boost your character has increases your damage capabilities greatly. So although Bronya only gives a damage boost for one turn, it's still really good for a character like Kafka who wants to proc the damage over time effects that are on the enemy on that same turn. So the damage increase for one turn is really good for this character. That means that the dots you do proc at that time will take the damage boost that you get from Bronya into full consideration whenever you proc those dots. So that makes Bronya a really good character to use with Kafka. overall making Kafka a much more versatile character. And that is on top of the cleanse that Bronya also have, which is very valuable for a character like Kafka anyways, because you want to always attack the enemy with Kafka because you'll be proccing dots constantly. So the cleanse that you get from Bronya is very, very good. Bronya also gives an attack increase, which again, makes Kafka's dots do more damage. Bronya also does give a damage increase furthermore with her bonus ability, which is very good for a character like Kafka once more, because of course, damage over time benefits from attack increases and damage boost also. Lastly, depending on what you have on your Bronya means you can give a furthermore damage increase to the character that wants to proc the dots in that team composition. So Bronya furthermore works really well with Kafka because she gives another damage boost on top of the damage boost she gives with her elemental skill already in the form of her light cones. Ting Yun is also another character that comes to mind because Ting Yun also works really well with Kafka. The speed increase Ting Yun gives to Kafka is very valuable because, like I said before, Kafka wants to constantly proc the dots on an enemy. And one way to constantly proc those dots on an enemy is to constantly take the turn. And Ting Yun helps with that by giving a speed increase to that ally, while also increasing their attack, also increasing their damage dealt, and giving them energy as well, which Kafka wants because she wants to use her ult more often to proc those damage over time effects. You can proc damage over time after using your E, and you can proc it again after using your ultimate, which is very good because Ting Yun can help Kafka do that. So pretty much every single Harmony character here works really well with Kafka. One of the characters I'm not too sure about is Yukong, and Yukong is a character you probably want to use on other characters anyways. I think Yukong will work really well with Den Heng and Bibitu Lunai later in the future, and the reason being is because she gives a crit rate, crit damage, attack increase, and she also gives a damage increase by the form of imaginary to the team, which doesn't really benefit Kafka in any way, shape, or form. You don't want Kafka to build crit at all because her multipliers are very low in the form of her damage multipliers versus her dot multipliers, which are much more higher. And the fact of the matter is, Yukong gives crit and crit damage instead of giving more attack or more speed, like for instance Ting Yun, Asta, and Bronya does, which is much more beneficial for a character like Kafka. So personally, if I had Kafka, which maybe I'll get her later down the line at some point in the future, then I definitely will use her with the characters I said in the video previously. And I personally would like to use Serval with Kafka because I like the way that these two characters work with one another. I do understand that the synergy they once had isn't there anymore, but you can still use the characters together because they both apply shock to the enemy, and you can honestly build these two characters or put these two characters in a mono lightning team with Silverwolf and Bailu, but it is a lot more expensive and does require literally 3 5-star characters. So there you have it. I am honestly jealous of anyone that's ruling for Kafka, only because you get a character that is extremely versatile, a character that is extremely free-to-play friendly, and a character that looks extremely freaking good. That is Kafka. Twitch.tv/Toshio, link will be in the description. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.